All right. You guys hear me all right? All righty. Let's get it going.
I guess, Doug, what was the emotion of yesterday like for you and your response to the news?
Yeah, obviously, we were looking forward to something like that. And when it finally came, I was fired up. And I know, everyone else on the team was fired up. And, now it's just about locking in and getting ready to go.
And I think Lovey talked about maybe practice is different when there's a date at the end of that where you can play the game and there's not a question mark. Can you describe maybe the difference of juice yesterday versus the time that you guys got together before the announcement?
Yeah, I think it just adds a different sense of urgency. When you're practicing and you don't really know, we didn't know if we were going to play in the spring, if we were going to play next fall. Like, we had no clue. So obviously when they set a hard date and they say, all right, you're playing in 40 days or whatever, there's a different sense of urgency. And, the players are, everyone just takes it to that next level. And, we all understand that, we're on a tight time crunch now, and it's time to get ready to go and play football.
My last thing is, I know Lovey and Josh kept you guys in the loop, as much as they could through this, but when did you start to get the sense that maybe this was actually going to happen? I mean, there were so many rumors out there. Was it the announcement, or was there a moment before that you thought that this was on its way?
Yeah, I heard Blake mention the hot mic. Obviously that gets you going a little bit. But I don't think that, like, even that happening, I don't think that until I heard it from, the conference, from the leadership of the conference, I wasn't going to really believe anything, because obviously Twitter has kind of been a mess for the past couple months in terms of the rumor mill and stuff like that. It's been popping off a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I kind of had a feeling, me personally, I had a feeling watching the college games last week, seeing the other conferences go out there. In the back of my head, I was just thinking, something's not adding up here. Obviously they're playing and we're not. And, obviously, now we're at this decision. So.
Thanks, Doug.
Doug, I'm wondering, how does playing now in the fall and a legit schedule, hopefully, how does this change your calculus of how you look at the extra eligibility, or how does that all play into your seniors' mindsets?
I think it's massive. Like, I wanted to play from the fall to begin with, and I think our entire senior class wanted to play from the fall to begin with, because we want a chance to all play together and see what happens. And obviously, if they were to push it to the spring or to next fall, people are going to have to make personal decisions. And, everyone might not have made the same decision. We'll never know who would have left, who would have stayed, stuff like that. But the biggest thing is, now we get this chance to play, as a senior class. And then, after this year, we'll kind of reevaluate where we all are and figure it out from there. But right now, I mean, we get the chance to play. So, I mean, it's full steam ahead. We're locked in.
Are you of the mindset that, hey, I play this season, then I go, pursue the NFL, or what does that extra year mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same answer I just said. Me personally, it's my 5th year coming up. So, I've been here a long time, and, that's part of the reason why I wanted to play right now. I feel like we have a great team, and yeah, I mean, after this season, we'll just have to see where we stand, I guess.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate
it.
Doug, can you kind of walk me through what has like the mindset between August 11th and maybe yesterday, which was, if you guys, especially in your senior class, you guys have not had too many opt-outs or any opt-outs in that period. And I had seen other Big Ten schools with guys that are just said, look, I'm gonna start thinking about my pro aspirations and pro career. you had guys like yourself, Brandon, Bebe. I could go on and just kind of go, no, I want to see how this plays out, and I want to see if we can play.
Yeah, I think that, with all the other conferences still playing, and then with, them not making a final decision until right now, I think that's part of the reason why you saw that. Because in my opinion, in my mind, I can never opt out, knowing that, in a couple weeks they could announce that we're playing, in October, and you knew that, decisions were going to be made kind of at the snap of a finger, and things could either get canceled in a day or the next day, we're playing. So it was kind of just, hold on, like, don't make any decisions, too fast. Just kind of wait and gather as much information as you possibly can. And then in terms of August 11th was what, the day they canceled?
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, when that happened, I was devastated that they canceled the season. I was super disappointed. And, I was kind of just, once again, just searching for answers and trying to figure out what was going on. But yeah, I'm super, super excited that, we've gotten to this decision for sure.
One quick follow-up is, on those games last weekend, Doug, that I got to watch around the country, some of them were in absolutely empty stadiums. And I was curious what your thought is on maybe you guys having to generate your own momentum and generate your own excitement and own adrenaline, early on in a game. How key is that going to be, especially in what's going to be likely on mostly empty stadium?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, we play in an empty stadium every single day, but the intensity of the game is different for sure. But at the end of the day, you got to adjust. Like, if if there's no one out in the crowd, like, that doesn't really change what I need to do on the field and what our offensive line needs to do on the field. And when we're in the heat of the battle, anyways, unless we're in a crazy road game, we can't really hear too much of the crowd, honestly. So,
thanks, Doug.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Doug, I'm curious why you feel like this was the time to, and then that this one's going to work, and that roller coaster, I'm sure, has been brutal, the last couple of weeks, and then back in August when everyone was talking about shutting the season down. So are you confident that this one will work and that you guys will be able to, play the entire season?
Yeah, obviously in my head now, I think it's 100% it's going to work. But obviously, us players can only control so much. So, we just have to do what we can control, which is, being smart off the field and stuff like that. Trying to limit the spread of the virus throughout the team and throughout campus. And, yeah, we just got to hope that, everyone feels the same way that we do, and, we can get to this season and get it rolling.
Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Doug, good to see you.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. So yesterday during the Zoom with Lovey, it came up about Blake Gerasotti and his surgery that he had before all this came out, and we found out that there would be Big Ten football. I'm just wondering, what you think of how the line will have to adjust to that and how it's going to, affect guys down the line like Burtis and Jordan Slaughter and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess I'll speak first on Blake. Obviously it's tough because, he came in and he started working immediately, and, he fit in with the group well. He fit in with the offensive scheme. And obviously, he was growing closer with our offensive line, and, our group specifically is really close. So, when you lose a guy like that, and, he gets kind of put on the IR and stuff like that, obviously it's disappointing just knowing where he came from, and, transferring up and, having this dream of playing Division I football and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, that was tough. But in terms of the offensive line, next man up. Obviously, now someone's going to have to play right guard, and these next 2 months or 40 days is going to decide it. And I think we got a lot of good depth this year. I think some of the young guys are coming up well. So, yeah, I mean, we're just going to have to adjust, and there's really no other option other than that.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Doug, I know that you guys haven't been able to have like the organized practices, obviously, since the season was originally postponed. So what are some of the things that you've been doing in order to just stay in shape since that happened?
Yeah, so we still have like something popped up here. You want me to just cancel that out? All right, sorry about that. So yeah, I mean, your question was talking about what are we doing to stay in shape, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we still have mandatory workouts, and we still have like a helmets only type practice where we can work on individual stuff and things like that. So in terms of staying in shape, our strength staff, Coach Lou is always going to keep us in shape. I mean, when we're on campus. So I feel like I'm in great shape, and I know a lot of the other guys do right now. And I think that's one of the things that we've done pretty well throughout this time is just kind of locking in on, all right, I mean, we don't know when the season is, so, we got to stay in shape because we never know when it could come back. But, yeah, I think, the practices that we've had kind of throughout the summer period have been good. And then when we had to move to the helmets only stuff, that's been good as well. Just a time to get better at technique and stuff like that.
And then yesterday, Josh Whitman said that they're going to ask you guys to make some decisions about like going out and being smarter off the field just in order to ensure season. Have you guys had those conversations yet? And if so, is it a lot different than just how you guys are acting and going out now?
Yeah, I think since we've been back on campus, some of the guys in June, we definitely had discussions about that. And then, obviously it was different when all the students came back because it was time to fire that up again because obviously when everyone comes back, there's going to be, different pulls and different pushes to go certain places. But yeah, I mean, it's all about being smart off the field and like I said before, just controlling what we can control as players and try to get us to the season.
Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Doug, going back to August 11th, after you got over the initial disappointment, what was your mood? How'd you feel like day to day? Was it your anger all the time? Tell me what'd you go through?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that came from just not knowing when the season was going to be. And I think that's where some of like the anger, it wasn't really anger. It was more just a little bit of frustration, just with not knowing what's going on. But, like I said before, it didn't matter. Like that, us being frustrated and stuff like that, it can only do so much. So, I mean, it's better off putting your effort towards, working hard in the weight room, staying in shape and stuff like that, and waiting for a decision like this to come.
I know your parents, they go to every game home and away, correct? Don't they do that?
Yeah, they did.
So I assume it's good news, right, that they can continue to do that. It sounds like you guys will be able to go both here and on the road.
Yeah, I think it's huge that our family will still be able to come to the games. I know for a fact my dad and my mom haven't missed a game yet since I've been here, home and away. So, I mean, it's huge that they get to be there. And, maybe we'll be able to hear my dad in the crowd this year because he kind of gets drowned out. But we'll start to hear what he's saying.
And how have you personally changed kind of the way you go about life? Is there anything you do a lot different? You ever find yourself saying, oh, I can't do that? Are you catching yourself doing things you shouldn't, or maybe think about doing things you shouldn't do?
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, we're months into this,
Right.
kind of, the COVID time. So I think for me personally, I've started to get used to it a little bit. Just wearing the mask outside of the house, and just being smart about where you're going. And, even if you're going to pick up food or something like that, you got to be smart because you can get it at any time, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, it's all about, being smart and just following what, Jeremy and, Randy Ballard, those types of guys. It's all about following just what those guys told us back in June when we were coming back.
Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Doug,
Doug,
you
I got a
mentioned
quick question for you. Oh, sorry, Joey.
Doug, real quick, Doug, I'm sorry. You mentioned Twitter was kind of popping off with the rumor mill, and it most certainly was. How did you guys as players handle that? I mean, I would assume it to a degree would be fairly frustrating or maybe hard to see different rumors come in, every hour of every day. What was that like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of thing can get a bit frustrating as well when, you're seeing all these different types of people start kind of just peppering out random things that may or may not be true. Obviously, that's going to have an effect. And I think, having a couple of meetings with Josh Whitman and having him say, don't believe everything you read, stuff like that, was huge because at first, I mean, we didn't know what was going on and what was factual and what was not. We could kind of weed out a couple things just based on, common sense and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it was big to hear from him, not to buy into any of that and just kind of wait and hear from him first and then the conference. So
Thanks, Doug. Sorry, Jim.
appreciate it.
Hey, Doug, real quick. I know you mentioned last weekend watching games and kind of having an idea that maybe your fortunes would change towards the positive side. How did you react, those first couple of weeks, seeing those other conferences play, knowing you guys weren't playing? Was it harder to watch games that way? But last Saturday, knowing that this could possibly come about, did it seem a little more reassuring for you?
Yeah, I think it's definitely different watching. It was different watching games the past few weeks than it has been the past few seasons. Like in the past, I personally, whenever our games are finished, I'll turn on other games and I'll watch them because I love college football and I love watching college football. And it's kind of interesting just to see, different offensive schemes, stuff like that. But yeah, it definitely felt a lot different watching it, knowing that we weren't playing versus, just kind of watching and us having a game earlier or stuff like that. So I think, it's great that we're back and it's great to kind of get back to the normal flow of things.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Doug, quick question. It might be unfair, but have the coaches given you any indication as to when you're going to be able to put pads on?
I'm not completely sure.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think right now we're just getting back to the schedule that we were on, which was kind of like the helmets only stuff. And I'm assuming, people like Josh Whitman and all those guys are kind of ironing out details and stuff like that to figure out when we can get back to practice. But I'm assuming, in every season prior we've had, a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks of a camp type situation. So I'm assuming we'll do something similar to that.
My other follow-up is Lovey talked yesterday about, Blake's injury, also meaning you could possibly have a starting offensive line all from the state of Illinois. I was curious what your thought is on that. And my first thought was, kind of how the Wisconsin guys have their chemistry because they're all from the same state usually. And is that kind of a bond that you guys can have as an offensive line, that you're not only wearing the orange and blue, but you could possibly be carrying the Illinois state flag as well?
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think that adds another layer of, if we do have success as an offensive line and we have success as an offense, you can point and look at, those are 5 in-state kids who decided to stay home and decided to play for their home state and took pride in that and, wanted to win here. So it could be, something for the future to look at. But yeah, I think, we've had a decent amount of Illinois guys on the offensive line, the past few years. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot in common, and yeah, I mean, we get along well on and off the field. So
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. So, good to go. You guys good?
I got one more. Sorry. Doug, the last piece of news you're going to get here is who you play in the Big Ten. We know you're playing everybody in the West. Are you a little bit curious, and you have a rooting interest in who you play in the East?
No, I think whoever we play. And whoever they put at week 1 will be ready to go. And yeah, I mean, I'm fired up to get it going. I'm, excited to see who we're going to play week 1. And, as far as that goes, we'll have to see and find out.
Thanks, Jack.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Doug.
And you.
You guys all good?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
Brett, did they practice this morning?
They lifted this morning. They practice at 5.
Okay, all right.
As of now, they're actually working on the schedule right now because we didn't find out that we could go to more practices now that we're in season until yesterday. So they're trying to iron out what the practice schedule is going to look like right now. But as of right now, practice is at 5 or so.
Okay. You suspect more morning stuff like this after lifting or whatever? Or is this just
I have no idea. I really don't.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you, guys.